Welcome everybody with the rules update. Pretty much that's me right now. So GA, as you've been aware, you probably should have enough information at the moment from Golf Australia. The RNA have also been quite heavy in their communication, but there's going to be even more coming out. So these are the few things that we'll run through today. We've got all the rules publications, which if you wouldn't have received yet, you will receive for the next fortnight. All the online resources, which hopefully you've all gone through and had a look at. There's a lot has been taken from that with what I've got here today. And we'll run through about 10 to 12 key changes that committees need to be on top of. They need to be comfortable with, and they need to know, because first port of call is going to be you guys, with all the members and the players asking you. So before they get to me. The rules publications, we've got the Players Edition, but it's a lot more informative. It's got nice colourful pictures, illustrations, and also runs through the purpose of the rules and why they've, well, not necessarily why they've changed it, but why it is like it is now. I will have the Rules of Golf, which will be the main book. And then the official guide to the rules of golf will have absolutely everything in it, and that'll include what the decisions are now. They haven't had any decisions, so they're going to be called interpretations for the first instance. So they've gone through and had a look and said, oh well, this is what we think is going to happen, all the possibilities what could happen out in the golf course using these new rules. Golf Australia will be sending out flyers, which we'll run through a little bit later, and the RNA will also have, well, they've endorsed them obviously. All those will be coming out to you, as I said, in the next fortnight, except for the big one, the official guide. That's going to be November. That'll be early November. If there was an email sent out regarding ordering the books, if you haven't done so, please contact me after and we can run through that again, because there was a 2-week window to place an order. That's the basic rundown. Again, what we went through before. It's going to be a little bit shorter, more user-friendly. The big thing is it's going to be available digitally, so everyone's on their phone. You know how important it is to check your phone every half a hole. So they will have no excuse, to players, not to be able to access the rules. It will be there available for them. On the left, it'll be a little flyer which will be distributed to each player. I would encourage the distribution of that to go to the player and keep it in their bag. Most of us will all have a rules book sitting somewhere in the base of our bag. Some may have a few versions sitting in the base of the bag. This one is a lot easier. You can clip it onto a scorecard in the first couple of rounds if you like. The flyer on the right is going to be a larger flyer to promote all around the club. So, you know, put it in the toilets, put it in the locker rooms, put it on the tee if you like. Just distribute it as much as you can to get people looking at it and to get them out in the golf course ready to go with these 10, which we think are going to be the most important to get people enjoying their golf straight away and not doing anything silly. That is your one-stop shop. I've been reassured. So copy that down, do whatever you need to do with it. So on that website there, you'll have all the resources, all the DVDs. We encourage committees to go back to their clubs and run your own rules evenings. Make it a Friday night if you want to have a couple of drinks, sit down, run through 5 or 10 rules, 5 or 10 videos. It'll generate some discussion, that's for sure. So we encourage that to happen. We'll run through all the yes you cans. There's been a lot of chat about what we're not going to be able to do. We'll run through what we can actually do. And the hardest part's going to be not comparing to the previous rules. Don't say, oh, we used to do this, but oh, this has changed, it's now this. Golf Australia, RNA, USGA are really trying to stress that these are the rules. Don't worry about what you did December 26, 27, January 1, this is what you do. Okay? The big one's the dropping procedure, which we've all spoken about.
When dropping your ball under the new rules, the likelihood you will need only one drop will increase, while the randomness of your resulting lie will be preserved. The procedure is simple. Hold the ball at knee height, let go of it so it falls straight down, and make sure that it lands and comes to rest in the relief area. Don't throw, roll, or spin the ball, and don't let it hit you as it falls.
I don't see too many 7-footers in the building, so you're not going to be too worried about you're dropping it this much higher than a 6-year-old that's dropping it from there. There was a lot of chat that it was going to be dropped from any height, but as Shona said, they wanted to preserve the slight randomness of what's going to happen, so that's why they've gone for the knee height. Now, you don't need to be picky on the knee height. If you're anywhere around this region, you're going to be okay. Now you can stand like they were standing like this. You can kneel down if you feel like it. I might need help back up, you can do that. You can lie down on your back if you like and drop it, long as it's knee height. That's the only definition, is knee height. Yeah, it says don't let it hit you on there, but in a strange twist, it can hit you and there's not going to be any penalty, and just play on. But try not to tell the players that first.
In the 2019 rules, when dropping and taking free relief or penalty relief, your ball must be dropped in the defined relief area, and it must come to rest in there too. Most of the time with the knee height dropping procedure, that will happen on your first drop. When it doesn't, drop a second time. If the drop doesn't stay within the relief area either, place a ball where your second drop first touched the ground.
As you can see there, he moved across because he figured out pretty quickly that it was going to bounce forward again outside that area. There's nothing stopping you on that second drop from moving anywhere within that club length, or 2 club lengths if you're going to take a penalty. We'll run through measuring the size of the relief area, which is quite important.
When you drop in relief areas defined by 1 or 2 club lengths in the 2019 rules, a club length will always mean the length of the longest club in your bag, except your putter. For most players, that club will be their driver, but not always. This player is using his driver to measure his 2 club length lateral relief area outside a red penalty area. This player's back on the line relief area is 1 club length on either side of and behind the point he has chosen on the line from the hole through where his ball was unplayable in the bunker. He is estimating the size of his relief area without measuring, then dropping well within 1 club length of that point. Finally, when a player measures with a shorter club, it is still the longest club in their bag, except the putter, that defines the relief area. Remember, when you drop, your ball must always land in, come to rest in, and be played from the relief area.
Is everyone okay with that, with the back on the line? That's going to be the trickiest one, because now it's no longer just back in line as far as you want. You can do that, but then you've got to add a reference point to it. That's the big thing that has changed, is you need to have a reference point from where your club length will be. So you'll see in all the videos they'll put down a tee. It's not hard. Most people would have a tee in their pocket. Put it down. You don't even need to put it, place it in. Just drop it down there somewhere so you have a reference point. And then that way, when you drop it, if it goes forward of that reference point, previously you didn't have to worry about dropping that because it was back in line, still okay. But with the reference point, that's the go-to. It's gone in front of that now. You do have to re-drop it. Okay, so they have stressed that initially do mark that reference point. Now, it might be a tee, it might be a coin, it might be a leaf, anything. Just so you can't be questioned when they go, oh, well, hang on, that went forward. You know, really, it's not going to make much of a difference, but in terms of the rules, you do need to have that reference point. Another little important one that went through there, taking unplayable in a bunker. You can now, obviously, when you go back along that line, you got that reference point again. Yeah, we're all good. Any questions about that?
So you don't actually have to mark it.
You don't have to. Yeah, it's same as like now. You don't have to mark when you're taking relief, like for GUR or whatever. But you can, by doing that, you make sure that you're in that area. And the important factor now is you have to remain in that area. If it drops and it rolls outside, then you re-drop, even if it's that far outside, where it previously was up to 2 club lengths. And that second last slide where it said you can measure with a shorter club, you can do so, but if it drops, that's a shorter club and it drops here and rolls to there, if that's still inside your longest club, so it might be a 3-wood, or the thing you carry, if it's still within that distance, you're fine to carry on. Okay, so the point is it's the longest club in your bag except for your putter. Is everyone okay with that? Yeah.
In the 2019 rules, areas with red or yellow markings most golfers call water hazards have a new name: penalty areas. Penalty areas can also include other places on the course not containing water, where balls are frequently not found or not playable, such as jungles, deserts, canyons, and more. If you lose your ball in a penalty area, or find it and decide not to play it, you have several options to take relief outside it for 1 penalty stroke. One of them is lateral relief. Estimate where your ball crossed the red line as it went into the penalty area. Measure or estimate your 2 club lengths lateral relief area outside the penalty area that is not near the hole. Then, drop a ball in the relief area and play it from there.
How many clubs are thinking of adding penalty areas that aren't already lateral hazards? Yeah? I had a few up at Marucci, question yesterday about it. There's a lot of golf courses that do it where, you know, technically you're supposed to have water that's going to flow through that area to mark it as a lateral water hazard. Now they're taking that away. It's called a penalty area. It'll probably take everyone 6 months to start calling it that. But you won't find water hazard or lateral water hazard written in that rule book at all. It's now penalty area. So there are some areas, say for example, down the par 5 here, it's currently a garden bed. If, for example, they wanted to make that a penalty area, they can do so just by marking it red. That's pretty much it, and it has the same properties as what a lateral water hazard would have now. The only difference is there's going to be no equidistant offering for you to drop, so you can't go the other side and drop over there. It's always going to be where you believe it went over, or where you and your marker believe it crossed. And a lot of resort courses do that just simply for pace of play already. I think it's going to help now everyone moving forward. So, any questions on marking those?
Equidistance out altogether.
Sorry?
Equidistant will not be an option.
Won't be an option at all. Yeah, yep. So in the coming months, with local rules and everything like that, we'll be here to assist if you need any help or any suggestions on what you think might be the best way to mark those particular areas. 3 minutes to look for your ball. No longer 5/8. It is now 3/5. Pretty self-explanatory. We're trying to make everything faster. You know, you come up to a ball search or anyone trying to search for their ball, and the question is, oh, how long have you been here? Oh, a minute or 2. Well, that's a big difference when it comes to 3 minutes. So I know a lot of people don't start looking at the clock as soon as they start looking, but you'd have a better expectation or better anticipation, I suppose, of 3 minutes rather than, I think it's 5, while the group on the tee have been standing there for 10. Putting with the flagstick in.
Under the 2019 rules, there is no penalty for hitting the flagstick that is in the hole when you've played your stroke from off the putting green, or if you've played your stroke from on the green. So, if you want to leave the flagstick in the hole, perhaps to save time or because you think it helps you, there is no penalty if your ball hits it. If your ball is not holed, play it as it lies.
Everyone like that rule? Yeah. Again, all your options you've got now are still available, so you can still have someone tend the flagstick. You can still take it out. If I take it out and Scotty wants it back in because he can't putt properly and wants a backstop, he can have it back in. Not a problem at all.
2019 rules allow you to repair almost any damage on the putting green. In addition to ball marks and old hole plugs, you're allowed to repair spike marks and any other damage caused by shoes, repair animal damage, and repair damage caused by maintenance practices. The fixing and repair of the putting green must be done promptly and must not improve your line of play beyond the repair of the damage.
Who's scared that's going to take about 20 minutes per hole? It won't. It won't be. Like that's, you probably get a few like this, you know, within a 6 foot radius of the hole. That's where most people will walk. That's where most damage will be anyway. And the important thing to remember is it needs to be done promptly. Okay, if you don't do it promptly, then you're going to start getting in a bit of strife. You're going to start falling behind, and you're going to get slow pay penalties involved. So, yeah, well, it's going to be great. You know, there'll be no excuses now for missing a putt. You can't blame a spike mark. You can't tap anything after you've missed it. So, it's all on you to fix them. Currently, where it's got the ball marker or ball moved accidentally on the green, that you can employ that as a local rule. This will now be a rule from 2019 onwards.
Under the 2019 rules, if you accidentally move your ball or ball marker on the putting green, there is no penalty. For example, if you accidentally move your ball making a practice swing or in preparing for your stroke, drop your ball marker on your ball and move it, move your ball with your foot, or cause your ball marker to move. There is no penalty, and you simply replace your ball or ball marker on its original spot.
Is everyone okay with that? Do most clubs use that now as a local rule anyway? Yeah. So you won't notice any difference. It's a rule of golf. You can just take it off your local rules board now. This one's always fun to watch.
Under the 2019 rules, there is no penalty if you accidentally move your ball while searching for it. If you do, replace your ball back on its original spot. If you don't know the original spot exactly, like this player, simply estimate it, including how the ball was lying under the grass, and replace the ball there.
Well, everyone's going to put it deep down where it was. They're not going to prop it up on top, so we're all honest here. Yeah, it's a good rule. If you move it while you're looking for it, yeah, they exaggerated a little bit to prove the point, but they do encourage, yeah, you've got to put it back to where you think it was, and that, you know, it's quite obvious if you're propping it up on the grass, you need an eye test to not, when you accidentally move it, kicking it around.
Does that happen to, like, if you stand on it and you've squashed it in?
If you're searching for it, only if you're searching for it, yeah. If you're walking down the middle of the fairway and you do it, then no. But yeah, as long as you're searching for it, moving it down is putting it back, yeah.
Under the 2019 rules, there is no penalty for moving loose impediments when your ball is in a bunker. However, some bunker restrictions continue to exist. For example, you are still not allowed to touch the sand with your club, behind or in front of your ball, when making a practice swing, or when making your backswing.
I distinctly remember having it with one of my mates after they announced that it was going to be new rules in 2019. And the first bunker he got into, it only came out that morning. The first bunker he got into, he's ripping out leaves and carrying on. I'm like, what are you doing? It's like, oh no, it's the new rules, we can do it now. It's like, no, they've only just announced we're going to look at doing new rules. So, but that's a good one. You know, I've had plenty of emails and contact about, you know, especially when it's windy and, you know, leaves have gone through, and not every club has the resources to have their superintendents, their greenkeepers out cleaning the bunkers and doing the bunkers every day. So it's bad enough you're in a bunker, to have the extra leaf on top of it and that sort of thing, that's yeah, they're just removing that little bit extra. Obviously, if your ball's sitting on top of that loose impediment, or if by moving that loose impediment you move your ball, you will be penalised for that. So it's not just go in, rip everything out and put your ball back. If you move your ball, you still get penalised, same as if you're on the fairway. Yeah? Everyone okay with that?
Under the 2019 rules, when you're assessing the line for your putt, there will be no penalty if your caddy or partner touches the putting green to point out where you should aim or how your putt will break. This includes touching the green with a flagstick.
We don't get to see whether the caddy was right or not. But you know, that's something, you know, in pennant and that sort of thing, where you're touching the green or you're playing a 4-ball. You know, people are trying to get as close as possible to it, but now there's no drama as long as you're not pushing anything down or you leave the flag there. You have to move it. You can indicate it, but you've got to move it out of the road before the player plays. Is everyone okay with that? Do you have much of a drama with that one? No? Pretty much the final one, the purpose for all these rules.
It is important that you're aware of how your pace of play impacts others. The 2019 rules encourage prompt pace of play by all players by recommending that you play promptly throughout the round, such as by preparing in advance for each stroke, moving at a good pace between strokes and between holes, and that you make a stroke in no more than 40 seconds. The 2019 rules also expressly allow for you to agree to play out of turn in a safe and responsible way to save time or for convenience. This is often referred to as ready golf.
Most clubs have been using that for a long time anyway. It's just now, you know, it's official. They encourage it. They want it to happen. You know, match play will still apply where you need to be the furthest away, but stroke play, they're not worrying about whose honour it is. If you're falling behind, if you're a couple of holes behind, we'd encourage you to go, or whoever's first in, to go to the next hole and start teeing off, or at least get ready to tee off. So you're saving, you know, you save a minute or two. It quickly adds up to catching up to the group in front. Most clubs are doing that at the moment. Yeah. Yeah. One new format, which you might have seen, we'll get onto a couple of what you can do now, I suppose local rules, and if you guys need assistance with drafting those. But there's a new format, maximum stroke play. We have Stableford, we have stroke play. It's now up to the clubs, if they want to engage in another form of stroke play, you can have a maximum score. So.
The 2019 rules include a new form of stroke play called maximum score. Under this alternative form of play, a maximum number of strokes are set to cap a player's score on each hole. Examples of maximums are net double bogey, 2 times par, or a fixed number such as a 6, 8 or 10 strokes. This means if you pick up your ball without finishing a hole, you get the maximum score for that hole.
No more, guys.
To help pace of play, you are encouraged to stop playing a hole when you reach the maximum, or you realise a score of less than the maximum will not be possible.
Now, will Golf Queensland, Golf Australia be using that format? We may do in the juniors. I think they do it already with Junior Golf Queensland. But in our championship events, we wouldn't be using those, and that's part of the directive. In elite competitions, we wouldn't be wanting to use that. You know, if you have 10, you have 12. Bad luck, you having 10 or 12. I know I'd like to have the 6. That'd be good all the time. But again, it's up to the clubs what they want to do. If you were having a novelty day or a corporate day, yeah, something that's not an honour board. Yeah, trial it if you like. See what everyone comes back and says. Like, the impact of it might be very minimal. You might have 4 players that actually use it throughout the whole day. But if it increases their enjoyment of the game and it speeds up play, It's got to be a winner. Anyone else, would anyone think they would use that more often?
For new players,
Yeah,
we've
yep,
had a couple of players who, you know, just starting and
yeah,
it sort of frustrates the field when they're having so many hits.
yeah, that's fine. That's something you can do. You know, because I know a lot of clubs do Stableford, but new players getting their heads around the point scoring system can be a bit tough sometimes. So that's where, yeah, the maximum stroke play, yeah, they get to 10, yep, pick it up. So stroke and distance, the alternative. Has everyone had a look at this? And yeah, what are your thoughts before we?
I'll be taking it 6 times around.
Depends how far away from the fairway you hit it.
Starting in 2019, when your ball is lost or out of bounds, your course can use a local rule that does not require you to play under stroke and distance. Here's how it works. For 2 penalty strokes, estimate where you think your original ball is or where it went out of bounds. Imagine a straight line running from the hole through that estimated point. Next, estimate the point on the nearest edge of the fairway that is the same distance from the hole. Imagine a straight line running from the hole through that estimated point. The relief area where you can drop and play your ball for 2 penalty strokes will be quite large, anywhere as much as 2 club lengths outside of the 2 lines and between them, but not nearer the hole than the spot where you estimated your original ball is lost. You cannot use this local rule if your ball is lost in a penalty area or if you have played a provisional ball.
He didn't look very upset that he lost his ball, but yeah, probably. Again, this is tailored more towards, yeah, the pace of play, your novelty, your less elite events, I suppose, if you want to do that. And it doesn't need to be all throughout the course because it's a local rule and it involves out of bounds. You could do it for, you know, it might be out of bounds just on next to the road here, but it's not when it's out of bounds down further. You can specify where you want to use it. You know, the payoff is, yeah, it's a 2-shot penalty. It will help speed up play, but as for, you know, estimating where you lost your ball, that's going to have to be an agreement between you and your marker. So, yeah, depends how friendly. You know, one of the thoughts, I suppose, is we discussed it in the office. Is it's more so, are you trying to maintain the integrity of that hole? The test is that stroke is the tee shot. So you might not want it on that particular hole, but you might have it on a different one. We'd probably advise against chopping and changing depending on whether it's club champs or just a normal one. Because to be fair, how many people actually read the local rules on the board every day? Probably not, unless it's rained. So that's one of the thoughts there is, you know, while we encourage the use of it and for speed of play purposes and obviously for the new golfer, the elite events it won't be in play. Everyone okay with if you're going to implement it, how to implement it? And obviously the lost balls there come across, you've got to that fairway. You don't have to drop it on the fairway, 9 out of 10 you will, but you've got all that area around the back there to drop it as well. Another important part was if you think you've hit it, like say if you've hit a tee shot out into this woods here and you think, oh, I've never found a ball over there when I've hit it there, I'll play a provisional. Now, as soon as I put my provisional as soon as I hit my provisional, I can't then use this local rule. It's gone. If I've got it at the club, I can't walk down and go, oh, yeah, no, maybe I'll use this instead and come out to the fairway because I've carved my provisional way left. But we all know provisional balls go straight, so all you need to do is do that. Another one is the penalty area. Same as what's involved now with the water hazards, playing a provisional ball for a ball that might be lost inside a water hazard, can't do. You can say you're playing it might be lost outside that penalty area, which in this instance, the penalty area might be right of that car path. Now you can honestly say, yeah, I'm going to play a provisional because it might be lost in those shrubs there. That's fine. if you walk down and find your ball just right at that car path which is marked as a penalty area, you're right then to play that ball or proceed under the stroke. And, well, you ignore the provisional ball as soon as you've done that. Is everyone okay with that? Yeah? Make sense? If you have any dramas, or if you go back to your committees and clubs and have a discussion about whether you're going to implement it, if you need any assistance on, if you're thinking different holes or different areas, please, just make contact and we can run it through. Can clubs and committees use these new rules in 2018? The simple answer is no. The long answer is we'd like you to trial them. Obviously not in a handicapping scenario, so don't go using it in your monthly medal next month. But if you're going to have a novelty event, I'd encourage, if you're going to have a 2-person Ambrose or a 4-person Ambrose, something like that where it's not going to be handicapped, give it a go. Say today we're going to play by the new rules, see how you go, see if you like them, just get people involved. And also, if people are going to go out for social hits close to the end of the year, encourage them to play, a couple of holes, they'll play with the new dropping. I guarantee you the first drop I do in 2019 will be from shoulder height. I guarantee it. And then I'll click in. If I'm playing on January 1, no, don't worry about that. Impact on course rating and handicaps. I have had a few questions about this. Because I suppose the course rating system predominantly is based on the distances and hazard factors, any obstacles. Unless you're going to add a lot of penalty areas, then there's not going to be an impact. Well, there should be a very minimal impact on your course rating, not enough to increase or decrease, unless you're going to go crazy with penalty areas. Now, the fact that if you're introducing that local rule for lost ball out of bounds, that shot still remains and the penalty of 2 still remains. So in terms of like the psychological factors or the difficulty of playing that hole, it hasn't been reduced. So there won't be any change to the ratings unless, as I said, you go crazy with penalty areas. And in those penalty areas, it is important to remember that you can move loose impediments, you can ground your club, you can have practice swings. Obviously you can't move your ball, but you can do all those things, same as what you would be able to do on a fairway or in the rough. So the penalty's not really there anymore if you get to play it, or if you can get it close to getting your club on it. So rules for players with disabilities. Yes, we are looking at doing that, and it will be part of the rules of golf for next year for anyone that has players that use those rules. Started yesterday for me, but basically Golf Australia's been in fairly good contact with players and clubs regarding the process of when we're going to be rolling out everything. This is probably the first step for me, reaching all the committees, reaching clubs, sounding off as to what is required from you guys, what you want from us. The good part about, or one extra part about having everybody logging in to GolfLink as of 2 days ago, if you could, was to access email addresses and be able to relate directly to the player. So, we're not putting all the pressure on you guys to be able to do that, to run rules seminars, to get all the new members in, to get them all involved. We encourage it, but Golf Australia and R&A are also doing that, going straight to the player, and they won't be able to not know that there are new rules and what the new rules are. As I said earlier, we're happy to help drafting the local rules. By doing this, it should be uniform throughout all the clubs. Obviously, just the areas and the points of difference will be on course rather than on the board. Printing scorecards. If you're on the verge of ordering 50,000 new scorecards, if you can, hold fire until if you put your local rules on the back of your scorecard, I know a lot have, you know, the My Club and automatic prints out, all that sort of stuff. You might have logos instead of local rules. But if you can hold off a little bit until we get that generator, or we get that information ready for you, we'll be ready to go, and you can all go crazy and print them all off. If you've got 60,000 scorecards sitting in the back office, don't stress. Put the local rules up that are going to be new, and just advise the players to ignore the back of the scorecard. That's what we do at our tournaments when we get supplementary local rules. We have a Golf Australia hard card that we use everywhere, but we also make note in the supplementary local rules to ignore any other local rules that are printed other than what we distribute. That's me. Email may change in the coming weeks, but you'll still be able to track me down. Any questions at all, obviously, please fire them away. I'm happy to, if I don't know the answer, I'm happy to head up the chain. Quite comfortable going, you know, if you don't like my answer, we can go up the chain to the R&A, that's not a problem. We'll help you out as much as we can to get the correct response. That's the office number. I left my mobile up there, left my mobile off because I know there's some people like Scott that like to call me on the weekends. But golf.org.au/new rules, as I said earlier, will be the one-stop shop pretty much for anything you need to know, and then yeah, get in contact with me otherwise. Thank you again for coming along, and yeah, good luck with spreading the word, I suppose. Enjoy.